Fixed good enough.
Alright, yeah. I think, yeah, I can hear you.
It looks like the restreamer is ready for you to count down whenever.
Cool. Alrighty. Go ahead and count down. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, so this is Shovel of Hope. It is the first campaign. The Treasure Trove saga, I guess. And Orb Route, which is where weapon called the Chaos Orbs. And they do a bunch of damage, but it takes a lot of time to get them, so that kind of sucks. But this is the first level. This is Plains. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, Chaos Orbs, they do, you have to go out of your way for them in the route that I'm running, but they do help a ton in just boss fights and a couple strats throughout, different rooms in the stages. You'll see its use coming soon, but in other routes, it avoids the Chaos Orb or the Flare Wand route completely, and what they like to call the Neitherless route. That is currently the most optimal route going right now for any percent. It's the fastest time.
It's the coin.
Yeah. That too. But yeah, Plains is pretty straightforward. Oh, hello? That was weird. My double bind, not my beyond. Yeah, Plains is pretty straightforward. The best thing we want to do here is gather as much gold as possible. Going through pretty much standard tutorial-like stage platforming.
There's a little trick coming up called Bubble Wrap, but it's pretty risky and loses a lot of time, so...
Yeah, we're gonna avoid that altogether. Like, if you get consistent at it, it's not too risky, because it is Plains, you can just reset. But for marathon's sake, we're gonna skip it for now. But yeah, it does save a couple seconds. It requires you, like, screen wrapping above that bubble room with the dragon there. I think, like, in Plague, and it's, like, almost free.
Get high enough and then burst over.
Yeah, you just burst over it. With Shovel, you're using the bubbles to get above the screen. So, first boss here is Black Knight. This is not... of course, I always let him get the first hit on me.
This is the same for all three fights. We're going to fight him 3 times.
Yeah, this is not the last time we'll see him, but does show off the stun lock fight, which you do with Black Knight. You basically want to jump and attack him pretty much like the second you're about to hit the ground, and repeat this motion over and over until you back him up against the right-hand wall there. We're going to see that again later on in a much harder form. Coming up next is King Knight, Pridemore Keep. And this first screen, we're going to want to try to get through it as quickly as possible to avoid a flame wall, pretty much. I think I got there. Or not. Oh, I got it. And we got a gentle jump. Very nice.
It's essentially where you jump at a certain height and then you swing the shovel at the same time you hit the screen transition. Video games, I guess. You just get a little extra boost.
That's exactly it. It's just video games. It's called Gentle Jump. It was found by a speedrunner that used to run Mr. Gentle. Shoutouts, Mr. Gentle.
Does a bunch of behind the scenes stuff on this game.
But yeah, Primary Keep, as far as the stage layout goes, also pretty straightforward. You'll see me jump and swing the shovel at the same time at these dirt piles. It allows you to get like little bits and pieces of gold as you go along without losing any time. Oh, I jumped too early there. Here we're going to deboost past this bird guy. There you go. Griffin.
Stream to land. I can't seem to fix it, so apologies if my commentary is bad.
It's all good. Coming up, we have the book room. Pretty much need to get through a few sections here as quickly as possible within a certain cycle.
Much you can do in this room, but it's extremely tight and just
Yeah.
not very consistent.
Like, right at the end here, at this last jump, you can deboost it, but yeah, it's like pretty risky and you have to time it pretty good.
It's King Knight, and you get a lot of shovel canceling goodness here. Pretty basic fight, especially compared to the other ones. But essentially, you just want to make sure trumpets of shame.
I actually got pretty lucky there. But yeah, the idea with this fight is he has a pretty set pattern on the left-hand side of the screen here. And you can kind of position yourself to pogo him and hit the ceiling at the same time. And then you'll close in the gap and you'll be able to get some quick hits as he like makes these scripted jumps. So then, yeah, other than that, there's a little bit of a faster method where you just shovel cancel the crap out of him. But yeah, it's pretty techy. So here we're making a trip into the village.
Or he's talking about like, getting in between him and the ceiling in the treasure fight if he gives him a bad pattern. So
yeah,
we'll get a little.
We'll be able to do the same thing. Yeah, that's pretty good.
What's going on there?
So when I make the village visit, when I go to buy the orb, there's a note in that wall there with a 200 gem right above it. Ooh, I don't want to talk to you. We turn in that note. Oops. We get a couple extra gold here, and it actually makes up for this if I miss the dirt pile coming up here in Spectre. There's one dirt pile in which we call the dark room with the frogs. It does have a significant amount of gold in it that we're going to need for later on in the run, but if I do miss it, then I'll have a backup set right here. And if I do get the dirt pile, then I'll have extra gold. That's always good. But yeah, Spectre stage is also one of the more within like the first world is Plains, King Knight, and Spectre. And Spectre being one of the last that you usually do. It just kind of falls in line with one of those like early beginning tutorial stages where it just kind of gives you little bits and pieces of what the whole game has to offer platforming wise. So here we have like dark rooms. It'll just completely turn off the lights like at random intervals throughout the stage. In some screens, yeah, go ahead.
Lich Yard is actually much more, much less basic of a stage compared to like Prideborn Plains, because as said before, you have the dark rooms. The frogs can actually be very tricky. You have the elevator skull platform things. Elf actually has a pretty feasible set of RNG. Cost you a good chunk of time if he wants to.
Yeah, I also didn't mention the frogs yet. These frogs can be like one of the biggest nuisances in the games next to Jawas. They do have set patterns in which how they react to you when you're about to like walk up on them, how they'll jump and etc. But it can be very random and still very, very frustrating. That checkpoint actually do break on purpose. It does have... it's one of the checkpoints that has the most gold, and we do use that for purchasing a certain item earlier than intended to later on. And I'm going to get that just in case. Alright, so this room here, intended deboost right at the start there. And we're good. So that's the dirt pile that if you don't get to it fast enough, you could miss out on some free gold pretty much, because you have to wait for that platform to come to the left to jump up on it. So if you can get to the dirt pile fast enough, really works out. If you want to go over
so
Spectre
this-
Knight here.
Spectre Knight fight, which I mentioned before. It's like, it looks like a pretty basic fight, but he can be quite the jerk if he wants to. So, essentially how it starts out, he throws this thing, and then he teleports to the bottom, he teleports to the opposite end of the screen.
Yo.
For the first throw, for the second throw, it's a 50-50 chance of him going to either corner. So, that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It sounds like he got it.
I actually did get good RNG there. So you have a 50-50 chance of him going to the left or the right. He went to the left, but I was short like one hit, so he ended up going to the top. But it's still pretty good. It's still a lot faster if he you get bad RNG and he goes to the right.
Next, we're not actually going to go to Explodatorium, despite that being the next closest stage in the map. We're actually going to Lost City. Item called the Dust Knuckles. And the Dust Knuckles are used to punch through a bunch of dirt, which you'll see shortly. Scenario section actually here is called the Dream, or just the Dream. And you just kind of want to die as quickly as possible. A tiny bit of money from the skeletons.
Yeah, you pretty much just want to like take as much damage as quickly as possible. There's some pretty cool skips you can do in the later dreams, but in this first one, you just want to tank damage fast to end the dream sequence. So yeah, like Breadpaint was saying, in Mole Knight stage, we're going to be picking up the Dust Knuckles, one of the very more useful items in the game for various reasons. But we'll explain more when we get it. This first part of the stage, though, we're going to come up to a very tricky strat that I'm going to attempt, and hopefully we get.
Yeah, Beetle 1 is a lovely part of the game.
Reset City, as I like to call it. They call it Lost City.
Essentially, you want to use.
Call it Reset.
You want to use this birder we call Steve to sort of get you over the lava pits without having to use the big beetle.
I mean, we got it.
If you don't manipulate, I guess, Steve properly, you might die.
Yeah. So, yeah, you pretty much have to release the bird from the dirt block cage that it sits in at the perfect time so that it goes along that path that it did take. So that I was able to skip. Whoa! So I was able to skip waiting for the beetle, but I didn't expect that to happen. Holy crap. That took me for a big surprise there.
Alright, so the rest of the stage is pretty basic after Beetle 1, but soon we'll see Beetle 2. And Beetle 2 is a strat, but it's definitely not anywhere. It's not something to, laugh at. It's definitely still very tricky.
Absolutely.
Quite a death.
Yeah, so that death I took was like what we call Duck Knight, one of the Duck Knights, the red Duck Knight. And he will either charge at you or he will put up his shield, allowing you to pogo him. And that time he just decided to charge at me, and I wasn't expecting it. So here we bought the Dust Knuckles. We're going to see how good they are in a minute here, but they allow you to pass through objects and enemies while taking damage to them at the same time. But we can also use it to skip a couple sections here with it. I did not mean to do that. It's okay.
So, you can do the Beetle 2 low percent like Beetle 1. It was much faster and much, well, maybe not much easier, but it is easier with the Dust Knuckles. Steve to skip the beetles.
Yeah, I'm gonna attempt the beetle too as well. So that time he decided to dodge there too. So same with this soldier, we're just going to boop, boop, knuckle right through him. This checkpoint we do break because it's pretty much a free checkpoint. It doesn't waste any time in getting it. Didn't have a good setup. Might still be able to get it here. No, not really.
Oh man.
So we'll hold off on it. But we can still do this.
The beetle costs about like 10 seconds, maybe.
Yeah, it's around, I think it's like 6, 7, but the death there is just atrocious.
Remember, you just broke the checkpoint.
Yeah, exactly. Alright, so Hollow Knight, he goes by pretty quickly here. And there we go. So Hollow Knight does this thing where he'll start the fight off by dashing left and right through the walls. If you time your orbs correctly and you can get like a shovel hit and a pogo on him, like per like wall dive, and then on the last dive there he kind of skates across the ground, you can throw the chaos orbs to where they'll bounce with him and do a ton of damage. It's usually pretty good. So
This is a very good exhibit of their powers.
yes.
Here is also very good. How overpowered the orbs can be.
Yeah, orbs are really, really good for, like, once you started getting a hold of the any percent route, they become very helpful.
I'm gonna go to Explodorium next.
Ooh.
Explodorium is very, as it also fits the theme. You have a lot of global cycles and fire cycles.
Yeah, one global cycle I've already unfortunately broke, but there are backups for not getting the ideal cycle that you need. Oh, goodness. So right on the edges of the platform there, you can hang on right before the pot lid. A little sketchy, but it's usually pretty safe. Wow, Chompy.
Or pixel that's just there that you can stand on for some reason. So that's pretty neat.
Yeah. Whoever found that out, shout out. So that's a neat
There. Whether it be on accident or on purpose.
I'm gonna go on purpose.
Spikes here actually do a heart and a half, so if you're not careful, they can kill you.
Yeah. Alright, so the Alchemist here, he does take a certain amount of hits. You can kill him before he does this little transformation. It's a little bit harder without the Charge Slash. Oh, hello. But it can be done if you're a little bit faster enough.
I actually have more health than any boss in this game, but considering he stands there for about, like, 20 seconds, it doesn't...
Dude, that's true. I never even thought about that. He does have, like, a ridiculous amount of HP compared to, like, the other enemies in this game. So here we'll be doing a very special trick called Ghetto Smoggy Skip. There's a version of what I just did there called the ladder skip that we used at Chompy in the room below. It's very hard. You have to kind of manipulate him a little bit. That strat there is... Oop, missed him. Oh, there we go. Pretty consistent. And shout outs to Smoggy for coming up with that strat like years ago. With the ice climbers there, we call these green slimers. Look like Shovel Knights in the green. You can kind of manipulate them and pogo them at the height and then knuckle that block in that room back there.
Yeah, that strat is also very tricky, but especially if you're using the first one, you have to manipulate them just right enough. If you miss that, then you have to go through that whole room, and it's a big time loss.
Yeah. So everybody's favorite friend, Plague Knight here.
The most random boss in the game.
I would say yes. There we go. Not too bad. With Plague, his first few jumps, he does have a set number of patterns that he does, so you can kind of prepare for it a little bit. But for the most part, he does get very sporadic near the end. If you let that fight go on too long, it gets very crazy.
Subs are actually also very helpful here. Despite them you not being able to get too many on them. Nonetheless.
Damn. I didn't even realize it, but yeah, I'm actually 119 gold short of 8,000, and I did need 8,000 before going to this stage. So, not a huge deal. I will have to do this stage a little differently, but we'll be getting the Conjurer's Coat and the Charge Slash after the stage. I didn't even look at my gold count. I assumed that was good.
Yeah, you don't need that you get from the upgrades that we were supposed to buy, but they are helpful. And Charge Slash is also something that makes mini boss coming up a little easier.
Yeah, it would have made yeah, that fight a lot easier. But we can still hopefully get like a quick one cycle out of it. We'll see.
Also makes us less likely to die to like treasure or something.
It's true, because we won't have Conjurer's Coat. Slime Tentacle Room here. And no, didn't get it. I thought I was mashing my orb there. If you throw the orb the second you run into this room, it'll kill all those tentacles right in a row, but I wasn't mashing, apparently.
The orbs, but it's very, very precise.
Yeah. So I'm a little low on magic to maybe one cycle, 420 fish here. Oh, we'll see when we get there.
The 420 fish is the mini boss that we were talking about. It'll be very random.
Good old 420.
Cycle them pretty easily. Right stuff.
So yeah, I would not have had enough magic, but oh well. So I'm gonna grab some health here. This is a deboost here. Let's go to the left, and then we're gonna pogo that same fish there. There's a dirt pile skip right here. Very nice. It's easy to mess that up to either pogo too late or too early. If you do it too early, you'll bonk the ceiling. If you do it too late, you will miss the ladder. So you hit the dirt pile off the wall and then pogo it pretty quickly.
Yeah, so you'll see these missiles here. I believe they're also on a global timer, so they're not really that annoying. They're also there, I guess.
Was gonna go for Sinker Skip. Might get a good setup for... I might have been able to make that, but I did not want to risk it. Didn't want to risk it for the biscuit.
Anchor skips here, where you sort of use them. But the first one is pixel perfect, I believe.
Yeah.
The second one is pixel perfect, but there's a very easy setup for it.
Yeah, it's like a little visual cue for it. But yeah, it's easy to die there, and the checkpoints like screens before that. All right, Treasure Knight.
See the orbs do their thing, hopefully.
Oh yeah, and we got good pattern.
Not bad.
That was my fault. That fight should have been even faster than that. But I missed a couple hits there. But yeah, I got the best pattern that Treasure Knight can pretty much give you there. With the Chaos Orbs, you can see how like destructive they are when they get inside the hitbox. It's pretty good. And that is pretty much the end of what we call World 2, which is the second, third set of 3 stages and bosses. So we're going to be going into World 3 here next.
So this is Dream 2, and you actually after we buy this stuff, we'll see. No, actually no. Right now we see Dream 2. Or can you do Dream 2 skip without the coat?
I think so. I'm pretty sure you can.
Okay.
I think so.
You're supposed to have the coat for the Dream 2. Get a little treat.
Yeah.
But we'll see Dream 3 skip, hopefully. Yeah, what it's generally supposed to look like.
Yeah, we'll see regular Dream 3. I can't do the crazy top of the screen like.
Never mind. Essentially, what would happen is that you'd die and your body would sort of fall. Shield Knight comes down the moment you die. So
Yeah.
if you catch her after you've died, it's a lot quicker, and Shovel Knight kind of like just slides away.
Yeah, what pretty much like skips that entire sequence is the second that Shield Knight hits Shovel Knight. So if you're at the very top of the screen when Shield Knight comes down, then it ends it like right there. So we made a trip into the armory. We bought the Conjurer's Coat and the Charge Slash. Each are 4,000 gold, which is why we needed 8,000 before treasures, but we had to do it afterwards.
Flying machine, and in my opinion, it's like, well, it's first of all, it's a very long stage. It's also very pressurizing. Can go wrong here. There's global cycles, Jawas, lots of spikes. There's the wind tunnel. There's just so many things. There's also a mini boss. The propeller kill is also quite difficult.
I'm gonna get this just in case.
Generally rough stage all around.
Whoa, that was a bad idea.
Doesn't sound good.
That was a very bad idea. Okay.
Finding a very, probably the fastest item in the game here. So if you lose your money, you're having a bad time.
Yeah, so I could have actually just reset the stage and I would have got my money back, but I'll be able to get it back when I get there. Yeah, I meant to knuckle those blocks, and then I just knuckled too late, and then, yeah, death. I went back to get the checkpoint, and I'm like, wait, no. Alright, I'm gonna reset the screen real quick. Because of this propeller guy. Alright, here we go. And we're good.
Coming up, we'll see the first Jawa, which is essentially an enemy that kind of moves around and blows you around.
Oh, Jawas.
And you can't get through their little wind blow thing unless you either kill them or just miraculously get around them.
Yeah, and that time, like, you can throw 2 orbs there and usually get them, but he decided to not get hit by it. Here's the mini boss for Flying Machine. Not bad.
Skip.
We're making a another purchase here. The propeller dagger, definitely the, if you were to call it, the fastest relic in the game.
Essentially, like, well, forward at a very fast rate.
Yeah.
We use it not even really to like get to new places, but to just go fast. Thing that we didn't use much magic before the dagger, but we'll be drawing magic a lot now that we have it. Use it wisely.
Yeah, or something went wrong there. Alright, hold on. I'm gonna do a little bit of a backup here. Okay, that works too.
Triple Jawas. That's
I didn't get the
scariest room in the game.
Dude. Wow.
They'll just blow you around whenever they want.
Yeah, that was a very unfortunate death.
I believe I spoke too soon.
Yeah. The fast way through that room is to knuckle through the blocks and right to the next room. And then if you don't have the blocks there, you kind of have to get through it like normal. In that case, there was really no blocks. And then the Jawas, well, not even the Jawas, it was like the other guy just blew me out of the way. So if you hadn't noticed, I do take more damage though. With the Conjurer's Coat, you take 0.5 more damage for like every hit you take. There we go. So you die a lot faster when you take the smallest hits in a row. There is a checkpoint coming up here, but we don't usually get it, which is why I had to go all the way back to the beginning. But for marathon's sake, we're gonna get that again. Oh. Well, that doesn't work out. Oh, I did it again. I'm hitting double inputs for some reason. Try it again. There we go. Okay.
Okay, so here's the triple Java room. And it has 3 of these mean greenies.
Okay, the first one gave me a little trouble. But I was able to wait it out, and then... really, yeah, it's like the first Java that you run into gives you the most trouble there. Because you want to get by him as quickly as possible. So he can like stop in front of you and blow you backwards. Or he can get behind you and then blow you forwards. And there's a little wind jet there, so if like he's blowing you like forwards, it's a nightmare. It's one of the hardest rooms in the game to get through very quickly.
Yeah. You know, that giant pit with a cannonballs coming out of it. It's not a lovely combination.
Yeah. So yeah, these fans do have like global cycles. They're pretty tough to get consistently.
Won't be seeing the Jawas for a while. But, game is free. Key spots coming up. Kill.
Might miss this. Yeah, it's alright. So you can get the wind tunnel room here in one cycle. You have to just kind of... I'm gonna miss that there. You have to edge the top of the spikes there. And use the propeller dagger at a certain moment, but I was just a little bit late on it. Does have to be pretty dang perfect.
Because that room is pretty dangerous. Pretty scary.
Yeah.
We've got the propeller dude.
Propeller dude.
Hopefully his fight goes well.
So we're gonna see a different version of this fight here. That you might be used to seeing. So Propeller Knight, he has also a very strict pattern that he does. You can manipulate him to fly to the left or the right. The way that I use it is I kind of manipulate him to fly to the right after he takes a certain amount of damage. And then you can use the knuckles to get at the same elevation as him, which will allow you to then pogo him. And then once he gets down to even lower health, you can then finish him off with the knuckles.
Oh, I haven't seen that one before.
Yeah, I had to actually come up with that fight because I cannot do the like the low percent fight or even the inner percent fight with the dagger. It's pretty tough. All right, Tinker Knight. The stage is pretty crazy. Without the knuckles, or I'm sorry, not the knuckles, but the mobile gear that we're gonna get here. Oh, didn't mean to grab the ladder there. This room here are the first sightings of the daggers, flying daggers. They are very random from when they spawn from the left to right. Think like the Medusa heads from Castlevania. That's always what I like to compare them to.
Except more random and they can go wherever they want.
Oops.
Just height, direction, whatever.
Yeah. They pretty much knock you off your balance like every time. Oh. So here we're just gonna dagger through everything. This makes the propeller dagger really good.
So the mobile gear has very specific uses in this run. Probably very big time saves. You just put it on the ground and it works. That first stage.
I would say, like, even casually playing this game, like, this is such a cool item to have. It allows you to skip the slow auto-scroller spike parts. I am going to get this checkpoint just to be safe. These next few rooms can be tricky, including the auto-scroller. Oh. I did this room wrong. That's all right. And we have the auto-scroller for Clockwork Tower, which you just pretty much have to, like, get through it pretty quickly. There's a few sections, like, at the bottom there with the flying daggers, but other than that, everything else here is pretty good.
Yeah, so we're going to be coming up on Tinker 1 here, and we'll see how his fight turns out. As much as it does every single time we fight him in this category. I know how you could possibly mess it up.
Oh, I'll find a way. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this health just in case. Should be fine.
Say Tinker 1 because there is a Tinker 2, and it's much less simple of a fight.
Yeah, so the first phase of Tinker, you can one-shot him with the mobile gear. Something I didn't even learn until I started running this game. And then second phase, we're going to still be using that gear in a certain sense. Go. So with Tinker Knight, there are two different ways you can actually do this fight. You can actually use the knuckles in that very small like window where the hitbox of Tinker Knight is. You can knuckle Tinker Knight back and forth with the dust knuckles. It's a pretty technical fight and also very risky if you do mess it up. The other way to do it is to try and shoot pogo way, but on the very top left there, like right next to the left of the hitbox of Tinker, is a little platform. And if you set the gear and then activate the gear and it'll run into him, it does a full like bubble of damage. So if you do that like every time you can get over to before you pogo him, it can rack up pretty quickly.
Yeah, if you throw just throw it at him, it acts as like a really bad flare wand, just doing half a heart.
Yeah, exactly. We'll actually see that type of usage with the mobile gear later on too. So Polar Night stage is it's a pretty techy stage with using just about every relic at your disposal that you can to make these rooms a little bit faster.
Very dangerous stage, to say the least.
Yeah.
There are lots of spikes and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Damage.
Ooh, I was afraid that was gonna happen. That's okay. I'll try that one more time. There's a strat for that room that makes it a little bit faster if you can get to the right side before this guy does. There we go. That's what I wanted to do, but just jumped a little bit late on the first platform there. No worries.
Okay.
I'm gonna get this just in case as well. Noticing I'm dying a lot. Oh my god! Just as I say that.
Well, as we mentioned, it is very dangerous, so hopefully
Okay.
so. Although we're not buying anything else in the game, we've bought our last item, so money is no longer an issue.
Yeah, money's no longer an issue. The mobile gear is the last relic you buy. But, it being Polar Night stage, like, all the enemies do a ton of damage. You just have to be very careful going up.
Yeah,
this-
so
Yeah, if you want to go over this room here.
Okay, so this last hallway, it can be pretty dangerous, unless you're doing the mobile gear strat, in which it's free.
Yeah, which I did.
It's what generally the faster way is just to dagger, but there are many spikes there, so you can quite easily die.
Oh boy.
Polar Knight, and Polar Knight is, I'm not quite sure how to explain this fight.
There we go.
Kind of just go up and get him.
Pretty much, it's kind of similar to Treasure Knight's fight, in which you kind of like sit inside of his ginormous hitbox, and I actually never explained shovel canceling. Shovel canceling is when you jump and press the shovel button at the same time. When Shovel Knight is standing still and you swing the shovel, he does this full animation. It's kind of slow and it stops your movement. But if you jump, it cancels that animation and it allows you to attack very fastly. So we used it in Treasure Knight, and we use it kind of like the same form here in Polar Knight. You just kind of like sit inside his hitbox and then attack away.
So we're coming up on Tower 1 after this dream here. Tower 1 is also a very tricky, very dangerous stage in Black Knight. It's a very, very tricky fight.
Yeah. Yeah, would be it's technically Black Knight 3. It's technically the third Black Knight fight, but it's the second in the 80% run. And he's much harder this time.
Knight 2 actually doesn't spawn on the map if your in-game time is below a certain point, so that's... Plague does not get that same pleasure, so...
So use a gear here to step up, skip that part there. I'm using a combination of like Dust Knuckles and Dagger here. Switching back and forth very quickly. There we go.
Room that he just passed through, you will lose a lot of time, and dying there is actually not too uncommon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that first screen requires a lot of quick relic swapping and just like really awkward jumps and stuff.
Crusher, and it's a pretty basic portion of the level, as long as you know what you're doing.
Alright, he was giving me trouble. Oh! Okay, I've never died that way before. Holy crap. I can't even explain. I got caught in the wall.
Oh boy.
That was very weird.
Oh. I actually have never seen that before either.
Yeah, I guess you just saw it there. Yeah, like, so, we call that the Crusher Room, because as you can see, you can get crushed by the wall, but, at the very end there, going through that doorway, it can definitely still get you, man.
Agreed, and I was like, what's he talking about? There's no way he can die.
I've definitely, that was definitely finding a new way to die right there, man.
On the last little portion of the game.
There we go.
Explain. Just don't die. You're good.
Yeah, it's a little tricky there. You want to save enough magic to be able to get through those parts pretty quickly, but... And that last Jawa is known for many deaths.
Yeah.
Alright, Black Knight 3.
The same stun lock that you did on BK1, but it's about 100 times more difficult. Port away and do a bunch of other nasty stuff if he wants to. But also just he has a lot more health, so keeping him there was...
Yeah, he got away from me. But we got him about halfway down. Ah, crap.
Once he turns into his bird form, it's actually not all that bad. You know, his hitbox is very big, and you have charge smash.
That works.
And if you pogo on him when he's standing still and summoning his orbs. You can do a lot of damage.
So we'll try it again. No such luck. We'll have another chance to get it right here.
Yeah, proof that
There
Black
we go.
Knight can be very tricky once.
Whew. Yeah. So it's very similar to the first fight we saw in Plains, where you stun lock him to the right hand side. The problem with what makes this fight a lot harder is the window for letting him to recover is much tighter. So if you give him too much time to recover from each hit, then he'll break out of it, and you saw what he did. He goes to the sky and does all that. In the first fight, like, it's a very lenient window of being able to stun lock him. So
Mostly just because he doesn't have magic powers and stuff.
yeah, he got super buff.
Coming up is Tower 2. The first portion of the stage is very short. I think even shorter than Tinker's stage. Probably not shorter than Plains, because there's a big old auto-scroller. A few short rooms here that can be tricky, but as long as you're... then it's no problemo.
Yeah, Dust Knuckles really showing how helpful they are, being allowed to pass through all of that without having to wait for it. That room could be super slow without it. Rainbow Puke. Jawas, be nice. Okay. And
So that's the last two Jawas
okay.
game,
Yep.
thankfully.
Last two Jawas we'll have to deal with, but they can still be just as bad.
Auto-scroller. There's not really much to do here. You just kind of make sure you don't... dangerous set of spikes. But other than that,
Yeah, really nothing too much going on here in the auto-scroller. There's some magic pots you want to pick up, but they're really hard to miss.
coming up soon we have the boss rush, where you fight all 8 knights, and it's probably... I don't really know how to explain it. It's very dangerous. If you die, you lose a lot of time save. Time. It's
Yeah.
it's like Flying Machine in a really abstract way. A lot later in the game, so it's much, you already got the sweat going down your spine at this point.
Yeah, for like both like Shovel Knight and Plague Knight, like boss rush is just like when you get to the boss rush in a run and you're ahead, that's when it's like an actual run. That's when you know it's a run. But the first three refights are guaranteed to be Polar Knight in some way, and we're gonna get Tinker first. Wow, that's a little surprising. So we'll get Polar Knight first, second, or third because of the spikes on the ground. Might conserve magic on this last cycle here. Yeah. If you finish him with a Charge Slash, it'll move it along a little bit faster. The next fight comes along faster the second you hit the ground.
Management is especially important through this part of the game because, especially with Plague, like, they're very useful for Plague considering he's still very random, still very dangerous. So if you don't have magic for certain bosses, but you need magic, then
Wow.
like in the rare instances where you don't have enough magic to put out a mobile gear for Tinker, you're gonna be having some issues.
Yeah, I almost killed Treasure too fast where I couldn't get back to health. That was weird. Alright, Propeller, yeah, you can get him with a charge slash kill. His fight's a little bit differently to his regular stage.
In his regular stage, he flies up really immediately after you get him to a certain point. Just sits there and does his fan despite being very low on health.
Whew, that was close. Almost missed that pot there. Get the magic, and we're good. So every other dinner pot will have a big magic in it as well. Shit. You want to definitely make sure that you don't miss that. Lose a little bit of time on this
The
fight.
Plague Knight fight, we didn't really go over this, it's just sort of keeping him in check. Essentially, you just sort of get his bombs, throw them back at him, get his pots, and screw you over. Just generally make sure your health is at the right number. Spectre is also much trickier in boss rush because you have a different strat to him, and him in the corner at all. You just kind of stay up in the top part. Give us good RNG, so that works.
Yeah, like minus like Tinker Knight first, this was a really good boss rush. That might be like one of the best ones I've had in a while.
Example of a boss rush that went right.
Yeah, like that went really, really good. I had like 38 magic left over.
Really good.
Like Spectre was a little off because I had to get health, but other than that, it was a pretty decent boss rush for me. And final stage.
Thing like like you're not out of the woods yet.
Yeah.
Up here we have Enchantress, and is argued to be the hardest quick kill in the game if you do it very fast. So we'll see how that goes. For that, we have a little short area with a bunch of blocks, and you just make sure you don't choke and die to the blocks.
Which has happened many times.
Yeah, that's not actually too uncommon, but
like
focused.
ahead like 10 seconds and it has happened. It's just the worst. Actually, yeah. Just trying to remember where I dagger there.
I think you lose like a good 50 seconds if you die to the block room here, so
Yeah.
really make sure that doesn't happen.
You definitely don't want to die there. Alright, first Enchantress fight. There are two of them. This is the first one.
Has her dives after she gets to a certain point, and her dives are a random part about her. If she doesn't give you a good dive, then
Oh yeah. Oh
Chunga
yeah.
help.
So we throw a gear at the start, so that when she runs to the left, it'll hit her, and then we use the orbs, and then a number of like charge slashes, reflect some shots at her, and she's dead before you know it. I had like one hit left, and I just gambled on. You can jump below in Pogar. It's obviously very risky.
fight.
And we'll be coming up.
Floor, and you get stuck in between the blocks and her.
Oh,
and do,
yeah.
I think you do 7 damage maximum.
Yeah, that's even worse. It's getting stuck in the blocks. So coming up on time here at the end of this boss here. Final hit to this boss.
Boss, if you're doing the knuckle strat, is very difficult, but if you're doing the dagger, it's not too bad.
Yeah, stick with the dagger. Oh, missed one. And time.
Not a bad run.
Lots of deaths, but all the strats I wanted to at least get, I did get. That
My
was,
PB, but that's not too much of an accomplishment. If I didn't die to the block room in my PB, and so, but
Oh, that's always rough. So yeah, the last fight, I pretty much used the dagger to... You can spam the dagger pretty quickly to like hit the hitbox of Enchantress 2, which is right on the top of the head. And then she'll do these scripted movements where she'll drop to the ground, put a hole in the ground, and that's your opportunity to jump back on her. But yeah, that is Shovel Knight. That is the any percent using the orb route. Like we were saying earlier, the other versions of the any percent route you use Flare Wand or nothing, and that's pretty much it. Those are the ideal routes to choose from.
I think Point is faster by like 10 seconds or so.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Spreadsheet, but I don't remember exactly what it said.
It's like 30 seconds to a minute between all 3 relics, or the 2 relics and then no relic at all. So it's not too bad. But yeah,
As their
that'll do it for me. I am SDiezal. Thank you, Breadpan, for joining me on commentary. I appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, that was fun.
And I'll actually be back tomorrow night for Mega Man 3 and be starting off the Mega Man block around 10ish. So I'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching.